Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far, and a lot to dive into today, mainly around this patch update which happened now a couple of days ago. Some reversions have happened over the last 24 hours, slide cancelling seems to be back to some degree, but also snaking is back on the menu once again. Nerfed a couple of months ago, now really in the stage 2 update that happened, now it seems to be back maybe in greater force than usual, and Cellium's certainly been enjoying it over the last 24 hours. If you take your thoughts in the comment section below, like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. First of all, I thought I'd mention this real quick because we did touch on it yesterday. The fact that there was this match cancellation thing that got added to league play. I was certainly pretty confused about this. Surely they knew it was going to get abused if he could just leave the game towards the end and the game just straight up gets cancelled. They disabled that. It clearly wasn't intended to be used in this setting, and it probably will be back in some form or another in due course, probably accidentally brought to the public a little bit earlier than they were intending. Let's talk about Los Angeles Guerrillas then. Update on our starting roster. This is what we talked about a few days ago, this Vivid whole benching situation. I was confused about it. Pretty much everyone was confused about it. He seemed to be the best player on their team. I think most people would certainly argue that. His engagement's out of control. Seems to me to be a piece of potentially a championship winning caliber team at some point. I can certainly see Vivid slotting into another lineup. I'm sure a lot of teams would benefit from his services. Whether that will be possible, whether that will be allowed, who really knows? Whether he'll come back into LAG at some point, that is still up in the air. But this is what they decide to make. Well, this is the change they decide to make. Bevels and Ricky sit down right here like super deadpan. Look like they're being held hostage or something in their facility. But well, Bevels comes out and explains this change that has been made. So Vivid is benched off the team. Now what's going on here supposedly, I think Crone explained it on the Reddit. I've heard different rumours because some people say Vivid benched himself. Other people say that he's been asking for a change with this team for a very long time now, and I'm pretty sure Bevels kind of touches on it in this video. The idea that, okay, we wanted a team that has good chemistry and good cohesion, and clearly Vivid wasn't happy on this team. He thought they were garbage, thought they were getting completely destroyed, and well, you could argue that is very much the case where they sit in the league standings right now. And well, then apparently they have maybe had a bad day of scrims or something, like they were getting bodied, and he just went to Bevels and Ricky and was basically like, look, we just need to make some sort of change, even if that means, you know, getting rid of me, then well, you know, feel free to do so. And then the coaches and staff were like, bet, okay, yeah, you're out the team, and we're going to get Chino in instead. I mean, this is one of the most mind-blowing changes I've seen in a long time. If you'd have told me like a few weeks ago this is going to be happening, of course there's the reasons behind the scenes that make this maybe understandable from a certain perspective. But we've got Chino in the team, and of course Chino's a great guy, like don't get me wrong, but Chino in for Vivid. We've got Silly moving to the SMG role. So I mean, I think Crone goes on to explain this right here. So Silly is in the SMG role now alongside aBeZy, basically how it was back in World War II. Vivid's been benched, Chino comes in from their academy squad, and Assault is still there as the main AR. So mind-blowing stuff to me. I mean, Chino's typically pretty much a main assault rifle player. This team is going to be absolute slugs on the map. I just can't see them, well, competing with the pace of some of these other squads. And yes, Vivid maybe was too fast for their team, but well, is it Vivid being too fast, or is it the rest of the team just being way too slow? I'm not sure this direction helps. One of the more mind-blowing changes I've seen. And can I see this team ever winning a championship in any universe ever? Like, well, pretty much no, right? So that's a crazy change to me. I can't imagine this team sticks together too much longer after this. I don't even know what to say anymore, guys. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below as always. We'll have to see how they get on in a couple of days' time. I think they play the Paris Legion on Saturday. But having Chino, certainly excited to grow with the squad. Appreciate the opportunity. But well, will he still be on the lineup at the end of the season? Because he got into OpTic game in Los Angeles last year, and that didn't really last too long after. He didn't necessarily perform the best, but of course was put in a pretty difficult spot. And interestingly, actually, Morks will likely replace Chino on the Guerrillas Academy. So Vivid nowhere to be seen. Don't know what's going on there anymore. Maybe they've just tried to oust him because he didn't like the lineup. But I mean, at the end of the day, if you're getting bodied constantly, I'm sure you'd feel pretty frustrated about the team seemingly not willing to make a change. So okay, this also from Crone that he points out Fire will be joining Decimate, Slackton, Methods on Fantastic Four. Dav Paddy taking a break from competing, it does seem, to some more roster stuff to run through. This as well from Atlanta FaZe I thought was very interesting. They confirm another analyst staff over at their team, that being Tupac, of course. Last season he was over at the Huntsman and SD analyst for them. They let him go after this season when they went to OpTic Chicago, and now he seems to be back, well, he is clearly back, on Atlanta FaZe for the upcoming season. So yes, their Search and Destroy had a bit of a tough time here in Stage 2. They've decided, okay, for Stage 3, we're going to get him in. Makes a lot of sense, right? His history, I mean, he was with Arcitys last season on the Huntsman, and before that, of course, he's known aBeZy for a number of years. They were, well, one of the legendary duos from back in Modern Warfare Remastered, for example. So really interesting move. Great to see for him to get back involved in the CDL. Maybe a bit of a loss for OpTic as well, given they probably had the opportunity to get him back, but decided not to for whatever reason, and FaZe have lapped up the opportunity. Thought this was pretty funny from EasyMac. Let's go. This is now their coaching staff. RJ Crowder, Tupac, and well, EasyMac, of course, filling in the gaps where is necessary. Let's talk about this patch update then. So a lot has changed here, and we talked about some of the major implications yesterday with the slide cancelling being effectively cancelled. However, that does seem to be back to some degree, but other things happening as well in, well, great effect. So weapon updates for Cold War, here are some of the things that happened. Two of the key ones that people were really focusing on were the FFAR and the Krig. So the FFAR had some changes to, well, what some of the attachments did, but nothing particularly major. People were talking about how it got a lot better, but in reality, I'm not really sure anything changed there. And then the Krig as well, they increased the headshot multiplier back to 1.4 from 1.25. You guys might remember it was actually nerfed earlier on because you used to be able to get a 4-shot kill with, I think, 1 headshot and 3 body shots. They reduced the headshot multiplier way back early in the season so that it actually, well, that wasn't the case anymore, and you had to hit 2 headshots, I think, to actually get the 4-shot kill. So, well, a small change that I think the pros were requesting. Now they've converted that back, but they've also reduced the max damage range. And apparently this, well, effectively, as Matt Scrunt says, with the damage reduction, it has absolutely no impact. It was done for ease of tuning purposes. So effectively, I don't think the Krig has changed at all. Just, well, some slight changes to how things are technically registered on their ends, and, well, ease of tuning purposes, they say, but I'm pretty sure the effect on in terms of the time to kill, and, well, the range stuff is exactly the same on the Krig as it was before. SMG sprinting changes we discussed yesterday, the idea that now the speed grip has gone from a 10% increase down to just a 3% increase, saying that, okay, with specific attachments, an SMG may now allow sprinting as fast as a pistol, but like the Krig with the speed grip is also incredibly quick as well. So really strange change. I think a lot of pros have still been requesting this one to come back. This also, Chrome was on fire with the tweets yesterday, added support for combat record in League play, if you guys haven't checked that out quite yet, and what thermal OpTic attachments also restricted in League play as well. Unfortunately, no GAs being broken on that side of things. Let's talk about the movement then. So a lot of these changes are, well, kind of complicated to run through in terms of how they word them, but I think a lot of things right here, well, are certainly steps in the right direction, as a phrase that I certainly love to say. So let's run through these things then. So refactored synchronization between first-person camera and third-person animations that could cause these states to be out of sync. A player's third-person animation stance will now more accurately portray the player's first-person view, reducing advantages when quickly moving between stances. Now this, well, directly affects snaking, right, or directly effectively addresses snaking. Now a few months ago, back in Season 2, as you see right here, they reduced the speed at which a player can go prone and then come out of prone. So they reduced that with the intention, I think, to try and, well, deal with this whole snaking issue. So if you guys aren't aware of snaking, if you go prone or even if you crouch, we'll look at some of the crouching stuff, which seems to be very abusable here in just a second. But if you crouch up and down behind a head glitch, you are very difficult to shoot, you're very difficult to see. And if you go prone and just as you go prone, then you stand up again, you effectively can't be seen because of the, well, as they say, that the synchronization errors between first person and third person. So for what you see and what the opponent sees are very different. So you can actually be seeing over the cover, whereas, well, you're bobbing up and down and they can barely see your head effectively. And that's, you know, what some players like to abuse, and that's been abusable in many games now. Now, really cool to see that Treyarch are actually finding a way to deal with this somehow, right? They're saying, okay, that they've actually made it so that first person and third person are, well, more similar. I'm not sure this is ever going to be perfect, but it certainly is, well, honestly, a fantastic move. If they can do this, other developers might be able to do it as well. That may address snaking to some degree. So then they were like, okay, well, now we've dealt with that. Let's now just reverse the change we made previously in Season 2 Reloaded and increase the speed at which a player can go into prone and come out of prone and change stances in that sense, because, okay, we've now fixed the snaking issue. It's no big deal. However, the stance changes are maybe still a little bit questionable. Stance changes are no longer queued in first person and forced to completion. While these can now be cancelled, there is a delay before changing stances. Again, this change will also more accurately synchronize first and third person views when quickly changing stances. They're saying again the fact that they, you know, they've made a step in the right direction right here. And when exiting a slide, the first person camera will more now accurately match the third person animation state. So it seems like this whole cameraing issue, which this refers to, is maybe now no longer the case to such a great degree. But how much can you really tell if this has changed? It's, well, somewhat difficult to say. Now, as Crone says, slide cancelling is back but not as fast. So we looked at yesterday the fact that you can't really go anywhere. It now seems to be back to some degree, but not quite as much as it was. And then we get the whole snaking stuff. So this is what Crone tweets out. Snaking, crouch, spamming is back. I'm not sure if this was intended. So it seems like, okay, they got rid of, well, in theory, they got rid of some of the snaking issues, where the first and the third person perspectives are, well, have obviously been very skewed. That's why snaking has always been an issue. But, okay, maybe they just decided, all right, now we've fixed that. It's time to get back to business. And, well, here comes the snaking back in full force. So the crouch up and down stuff, the crouch spamming seems to be very much abusable. I mean, you can see what this guy's doing right here behind this head glitch. And even if the first and the third person views are pretty much identical, being able to do this behind a head glitch is probably still going to make you a very difficult target to hit. And, I mean, there's many other clips that go along a similar line right here. This is kind of funny from Arcitys. Believe in Cell. This is Cellium right now. Well, yeah, last night playing in some channel or whatever. Anyway, he's bouncing up and down on Moscow, loving this, well, new crouch up and down mechanic, which seems to be the new and improved way to snake in this game right now. So I don't know whether this will be fixed over time, but it's kind of interesting, right? The fact that, well, we got snaking nerfed not too long ago. We were going to be playing on that. I'm pretty sure for stage 2 they were still playing on the old patch before the kind of snaking snaking nerf came into effect. And now here for stage 3, we were going to be playing on this new patch where there is actually, well, no snaking in the game because of the Season 2 reloaded thing that we just saw, where they increased the delay between going prone and standing up. But it seems like now with this new update in, there's now kind of a new way to snake, and people bobbing up and down behind K glitches right this. I mean, Hodo says, never mind, revert the revert. Let's have a look at what he's doing here on Garrison. I think a lot of people have been saying Garrison is basically unplayable on this new update because you've just got people doing this all over the map, and it's just, well, absolutely obnoxious. And well, I mean, you know, look at this guy. What are you better do about this? This is, well, snaking at 101 in a nutshell. It seems to be back in full force. So maybe they will find a way to fix it over time, because Matt Squans comes back and reply and says, look, should make the camera transition out of slide feel a bit better, but likely a touch too fast on that crouch to stand transition. The good thing is the first person camera is now matching the third person camera in this patch, so you are not breaking cameras like before. So effectively saying that snaking, the issues with snaking are fixed, but still the fact that you can crouch them down this quickly is maybe still a problem, and some players I'm sure will do their best to abuse it, especially because, as Crone says right here very interestingly, only the first week are we playing on the old patch. So from next week, from the second week of stage 2, they're actually the new patch is going to come into play, and this update, whatever it happens to be, is what they're going to be playing on. Now, unfortunately, of course, that also means that standoff and these other maps come into play, but with no time to practice on them, I don't imagine the pros will be bringing them into the map set rotation anytime soon, or well, at least, well, during stage 3, it'll probably come in for stage 4. But interesting to see they will at least be playing on the new patch update for week 2. Usually this is something we haven't typically seen because different teams play different amount of matchups every single week, right? So some teams will only play 1 game this week on this patch, and some teams will play 2. Therefore, you could argue it's a bit of a mismatch, but maybe the pros have decided, okay, whatever, let's just get onto this new patch because it causes us more issues than it solves, because down the line when we get to like stage, well, you know, week 3 of the stage, and then to the major, you can't scrim any amateur teams at all because they're playing on the new patch and you are not. So these kind of issues could be resolved by something like this. And well, let's talk about the matches then for later today and this week. Thought I'd mention this as well. From scapegoat to, well, European goat, you could certainly argue right now, Bance's individual performance was a huge catalyst in stage 2. It goes from, well, all these stats massively improving between stage 1 and at stage 2. Very impressive stuff. Of course, his major performance was absolutely impeccable. And these are the games for this week and later today. So the London Royal Ravens home series. Today there are 2 games. Empire versus this new Paris Legion. So interesting to see if Empire Search and Destroy. I'm sure that, well, they've put some work into it. Maybe it'll be somewhat improved here. And Paris Legion, this new lineup with Temp. Very interested to see how well this team can do, because the old team with Fire was very scary at times, but towards the end of their tenure, it didn't really seem like things were going to plan. But now, Aqua, Classic, Scraps, and Temp honestly could be a team that has dark horse potential here in this stage. And I mean, honestly, all the groups are super stacked. Also in Group A, then we've got Ultra versus the Florida Mutineers, another team that's made a change in Mutineers, bringing in Havoc to their lineup. Of course, Dallas and Toronto will go in here as favourites, but going to be interesting to see how much dark horse potential these teams have. If one of them can get an upset over the favourites, then will certainly put us in for a very exciting stage 3 possibilities. But intrigued to hear your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm to know you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well, and I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always. Take care, and I will see you next time.